Good morning, everybody. Checking in. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Today, we're going to talk about this DOJ healthcare scandal, I guess we can say, that has been uncovered. And actually, we all know what everybody really want to talk about. We all want to talk about this Diddy thing. We want to talk about this Diddy trial verdict. Hold on, let me adjust my position here. All right, so we all want to talk about this Diddy trial verdict, which has not been released yet. I'm hoping, for the sake of, for content's sake, I'm hoping we get a verdict today. I am predicting we get a verdict today. Looks like the jury is, well, we know, not looks like, we know that the jury is deliberating right now, or not right now, but in about an hour, the jury is going to start deliberating again. And we also know that the 4th of July weekend is Friday is the 4th of July. So we can all just surmise, just as everyday people, the jury probably wants to go to hell home and be done with this whole situation before the 4th of July weekend so that they can celebrate the holiday as normal folks would and not have to be coming back to this jury duty on Monday. So I'm thinking they're going to get this thing resolved probably today. I think we're probably going to get an answer today at the latest tomorrow, and that's going to be the situation. And when that happens, of course, we'll be here talking about it. But since that hasn't happened yet, we're going to talk about this other thing that I want to discuss, which is this DOJ has uncovered some stuff. And can we tell me your locations in the comments here as we get into this? Department of Justice, some healthcare fraud got uncovered the other day. Shout out to y'all who are checking in. Please like the live. If you're watching on TikTok, please like the live by tapping the screen. Those of you who come in or who are here normally, y'all know about liking the live. But if you don't know about it, if you're watching me right now on TikTok, please tap the screen and like the live so we can get the likes up. We like to get to at least 100,000 likes when I do these live streams. We're not even at 100 yet, which is pitiful for the number of people we have in here. So please tap the screen and like the live if you're watching on TikTok. Let's get the likes up. So Department of Justice announced, this happened on today's Wednesday. I believe they announced this on either it was last Friday or it was Monday. They announced the largest healthcare fraud takedown in American history. And we're going to talk about why this matters. Good morning, Renaissance over there on Instagram as well. They announced the largest healthcare fraud takedown in American history. It was a crackdown that charged 324 people got charged in this crackdown. So this is a whole web of deception happening when it came to healthcare fraud. And all of you should care about this because healthcare has been a big issue in American politics for decades. Everybody's always talking about it. Everybody knows about and has heard about Obamacare years ago during Obama's tenure. Then you heard about Trump, and whether you like him or dislike him, people frame it as if he's about to take away Medicare and take away health benefits and stop people from being able to get health. And you hear or medical services. Then you hear about the progressives on the political left talking about how they believe everybody deserves to have a certain amount of health care and how people compare America to other countries where the health care is generally free. It's a public service that's provided. You don't have to spend any money, whereas in America, you got to spend a lot of money. And if you don't have money, then maybe you can't get any help. So healthcare has always been a big conversation, a big topic in the United States. So what just got announced? What just got announced was 324 individuals were caught up in this. 50 federal districts, not 50 states, but 50 federal districts, including nearly 100 licensed medical professionals. So about a third of the people involved in this healthcare scandal are licensed medical professionals. So those of you on the trust the experts, trust the people with the documentation. It doesn't mean that everybody with documentation shouldn't be trusted, but once people with documentation were part of this scheme, allegedly, that they got caught up in. Now, this case involves a jaw-dropping amount of money, $14.6 billion. $14.6 billion. I did ask people for locations. Let's see. We got the UK is in the building. Shout out to the UK. Alex checking in from Philly. Tell me where y'all checking in from. Coco Bell with the Diddy prediction. We'll see. I already gave a prediction on that. I talked about that on Monday. So, again, we'll talk about it again when it happens. Carol Ann Khan checking in from New York. Please like the live. Y'all checking in on TikTok. Please like the live. Jameson Jackson. Investigate Albany Medical Center. AJ said, can you place us on the normal side? What does that mean? I don't know what you're talking about. A real man says all fake news. No one is taking anything. Yeah, okay. Well, they got to go to court, whether you think it's fake news or not. Paul from Tennessee. I am blessed from Virginia. New Iberia, Louisiana. Justin Martin, good morning. Teresa checking in from Philly. Shout out to Philly, my hometown. Shenandoah Valley, Virginia. Rebel Mellow Yellow, good morning. Char checking in from Tallahassee. Tallahassee feels like it's worlds away from Miami, but it is in the same state. PCB, Florida. What is PCB? I know Palm Beach County, but PCB, is that a different place? Where is PCB? AMC said they're a huge fraud. I don't know who you're talking about. The left-hand side, you're talking about the mirror of the video. The thing is, yesterday people were asking me to mirror the video and show it this way. So how do y'all like the video? Y'all like it like this? This is the normal way. Oh, Panama City. Now, you know what I know about Panama City, Daniel, or whoever that was that said they're from PCB, is when they used to have MTV used to do this show called Spring Break, and they would show all the white kids partying. And sometimes they'd be at Panama City. So that's the only thing I know about Panama City. I've never been there. But sometimes I look at it and say, it looks like a fun party for spring break. But that's the only thing I know about it. Please tap the screen and like the live. So do y'all like it being like this? So this is the way when I took the mirroring off, it looks like this. Because people are asking, because I would mention my books and people can see the books. And now behind me, you can see the titles of the book and what they're actually called. So people are asking me, Dre, I want to read the titles of your book. So can you change the angle of the camera so we can see it? And then what I usually do is have it like this. So you can't really read the titles of the book. Well, you can. I mean, you just got to kind of read backwards. But I usually have it like this. So how do y'all like it? So which one do y'all like? This way, this is called the mirror way. This is when you mirror the video. And this way is when it's just normal, straight up. Which one you like? Mirror or normal? So this is normal. This is mirror. So let's get a vote in the audience. I don't know if they have polls on here. Can I have a poll? I don't think so. No, yeah, they do have it. Let me see if this works. Quick poll. All right, clearly state your question and what the default options represent. Okay. Clearly state my question. Actually, I didn't even post anything. They asked me to clearly state the question. I didn't even post what it was. Let me try that one more time. So poll, it says a quick poll is in progress, but I didn't even offer any options. Now, let me do this again. We're going to try to state a poll here. We're going to try to start a poll here on this TikTok live so y'all can tell me which one you want. It says in progress, then I just said end it, and then it didn't end. Keep this poll. No, end this poll. Okay, end the poll. That's done. Let me try this again. I'm trying to use TikTok tools. So I would just do this the normal way and just ask y'all, but let's see if we can start a new poll. Start a new poll. Poll started. Ask your question. Okay, so the question is, all right. Oh, so now I understand. I didn't understand how it worked. Okay, so if you like the video like this, vote yes, that's the red. And if you like the video the other way, like this, vote no, that's the blue. So can y'all vote? I don't know how you vote. I don't watch TikTok live streams, but y'all can see the poll up there. If you like it this way that I'm looking right now, this is without the mirror, then you vote the blue. If you like it this way, like this, then you vote red. So which way y'all like? This way or the other way? This is the way that I normally do the lives, but people have been asking me the last couple of days, can you switch it the other way? This is red, and this way is blue. So please vote. Red and blue. This is blue. This is the blue way. This is like a straight, normal camera. I will have to turn the camera a little bit like this so you can see me straight up. And then the red is like this. Red or blue, folks. So the poll went away, and it looks like the red won. So this way. Okay, so we're going to stick with the red. This is the way I normally do it. Okay, so let me see where I was. So that changes the side that y'all are on too. When I change it, does it change the side that the comments are on? I didn't know about it. I don't watch TikTok lives. I just record them, so I don't know what it looks like from you all side. Some said not a preference. Some say mirror, normal. I'm getting a bunch of normals and some mirror. Then I get some no preference. China, good morning. I'd be able to read the books behind you, so flip it. So right now, the titles are backwards, right? Is that correct? Those of you who are watching right now, is that title, is that backwards or you see it normal? And Tennessee lady said you have to read the books behind you, so flip it. I get people wanting to read the books behind me, but I like the angle. This angle is better because it angles with the other cameras. I have multiple cameras going here. I got YouTube, Rumble, X, Instagram, TikTok. So it fits better to turn it this way. So it's all kind of in one space. Let's see. So I'm getting a lot of. Okay, so it's hard to even tell these emojis. Traditional good morning. Tennessee said blue is backwards now. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So a lot of people were saying the books are backwards, Jerry. We can't read them. So when I want to see what the books are, I can't tell because it's backwards. So for the purpose of getting you to know about my books, then it would be better if I turned it like this. But for the purpose of how I like to film, is actually better the other way. So this, you can see the titles of the book. So you want to see the titles of the books? All right, take a screenshot, take the titles of the book. So we got Work on Your Game, Sales Discipline System. This is the Mandarin versions. Now, see, I'm backwards now. This is the Mandarin version of Work on Your Game. That's my book, The Third Day, probably my most popular book right now. Overseas Basketball Blueprint is this blue book behind me. That's The Third Day again. 100 Mental Game. See, I'm in backwards now, so now it's making me dizzy. The Super You is that book. 100 Mental Game Best Practices over here. And I got several other books that y'all can't even see because they're not all shown on the screen. Are these books real or for decoration? They better be real. So those are all the books. And anyway, y'all don't even need to worry about that because if you just go to the link in my profile on TikTok, you will see links to all the books. So you don't even have to guess what these books are or try to read the titles or anything. And anyway, while I'm talking here, folks, you should be paying attention to me, not the books. All right, so don't look at the books. Pay attention to me. All right, I will tell you how to get the books by just going to the link in my profile. So continuing where I was. So $14.6 billion in fraudulent Medicare and Medicaid claims. Again, a third of this allegedly orchestrated by licensed professionals. Much of it linked to transnational crime networks using stolen identities of over 1 million Americans. So in other words, people in other countries and within the United States stealing the identities of people and then posing fake medical claims and then collecting the money. That's pretty much what this is. Officials say they've seized over $245 million already between cash, luxury items, cryptocurrency, and they've halted more than $3 billion in active fraud. In other words, money that was on the way, they stopped it based on what they found. Now, one of the biggest operations taken down was a shell company called Operation Gold Rush, which alone involved more than $10 billion in fake medical equipment claims. Now, this is big, not just for law enforcement, which if you're not part of law enforcement or part of the Department of Justice, then why would you care? I'm not, so I wouldn't care. But for public trust in the healthcare system, because it reignites these debates over whether crypto, digital surveillance, or even memes play a role in pulling the curtain back on fraud hiding in plain sight. So some say this is long overdue accountability. Others wonder if this level of theft, how it went undetected for so long and how much more is still out there. Because I'm sure there's a lot of theft and fraud that goes on that never gets caught. So let's talk about what exactly this means for several things. First of all, let's talk about Elon Musk. What does Elon Musk have to do with any of this? Because I don't think he's caught up in this. But remember how Elon Musk came in with this organization, DOJ, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, and the whole thing that Elon was trying to do was uncover what? Fraud. He was trying to uncover where money was being spent, where it wasn't supposed to be spent, how people were making money that they weren't supposed to make, and how the government wasn't getting optimal efficiency out of the money and resources that it was putting towards things that are supposed to be helping the everyday person. And you see how people responded to Elon Musk when he was doing that? Now look. I think Elon Musk should take a bow for this, not necessarily because Doge uncovered it, but because Elon Musk brought light to the topic of, hey, the government has some, not even just fraudulent, but some ineffective and inefficient ways of using its resources. We're uncovering it, and look at the way people are trashing me because I'm doing it. And Elon Musk could give himself credit for this. I don't know if he did. I wasn't paying attention to him when this got announced, but he should. Because Elon Musk, I mean, if you want to borrow a term from Colin Kaepernick, started a conversation about getting people talking about this thing happening in the government. So we could at least give him credit for that on some level. Can we get up to 10,000 likes on TikTok, please? Please like the live, get us up to 10,000 likes. So this is at a historic scale. For those of you who don't pay attention to this kind of stuff, I don't pay attention to it normally. $14.6 billion in fraud is the largest fraud ever in history that the government has found out about. Now, I'm sure there are bigger frauds that they don't know about, or that they do know about, but they haven't announced or they haven't investigated. But this is the largest fraud that they've announced that they've ever found in history. 324 people involved, and it comes to $14.6 billion. Now, that's an interesting number because $14.6 billion is only 324 people. That's a lot of money. So let's say 14.6 billion divided by 324 people, and then we'll multiply that by how many zeros in a billion? What, divided by 1, 2, 3. That's 1,000. That's a million. That's a billion. That's $45 million per person. They only have charged 324 people, but the amount of money they say is $14.6 billion. That's $45 million a person. I think the case is a lot bigger than this, and it's going to get a lot bigger because those of you who don't know how things go with court cases, especially large cases like this one, is that as soon as they start charging people, some of those people flip. Flipping meaning they're not just going to go to trial and plead not guilty. What they're going to do, or even go to trial and plead guilty, what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, hey, I know 10 other people who were involved in this that you haven't charged yet. I'll give those people up. I'll cooperate with you, government, and I will testify against these people that I'm giving up in exchange for some leniency in my sentence. So instead of giving me a 12-year sentence for doing what I did, I'll admit to what I did. And you give me a 1-year sentence, and I'll tell on 10 other people, and y'all will get way more political statistics, let's just say, for lack of a better term, for these people who I'm going to turn in. That's what this is going to become. So this is way more than 324 people. I bet the number of people they charged so far is about 5% of who's actually going to get charged. So you could take this number, put a 0 at the end of it. Instead of 324, that would come out to about 3,240 people. Then multiply that number by 2. So this is going to come out to about 6, 7, maybe even 10,000 people will be charged in this. Now, they all get their day in court, just like Diddy. Everybody gets their day in court, and they get to argue their case if they wish, or they get to ask for the mercy of the court. But this is way more than 324 people. 324 is just what they found in the first sweep. And once they start digging and they start going into people's computers and their records and documents and financial transactions and everything's on record, this is coming down to, this will be thousands of people, guaranteed. Now, despite this scale, over $12 billion in questionable activity remains unaccounted for. This is Elon Musk right here. For those of you asking what the topic is today, y'all can see it right here on my screen. Y'all see this right here? First of all, to get a free copy of my book called The Third Day. This book right here, this is my most popular book. It's called The Third Day. It's all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. That link is right there. Now, that one y'all can read normal. All right, so I don't have to mirror the screen. It's thirddaybook.com. And it's also at the link in my profile. The topic is always right here. So I always put the topic of the day is right here, healthcare fraud. Okay, so anybody asking what we're talking about is always right here. So any of you who see somebody in the comments saying what's the topic, just point them to this right here. Can y'all see this? Can y'all see these two little boxes? TikTok just recently put this out like 3 weeks ago, where you can put these little agenda. You can only do 2 things. You can put a headline up here, or you can put these over here, but you can only pick 2. So I'll put those right there. All right, so anybody asking what's the topic is always going to be right here, and a link to a book is always going to be right there. You can't click on the link. You just got to type it in. Someone said it's noticeable but small. Let's see if we can make it bigger. Nope, I can't make it bigger. So this is TikTok for you, at least for now. TikTok don't kick me off. So Elon Musk said there's a whole lot of money going around and floating around and going out and coming, not coming in, going out. We don't know who is going to, why it's going there. What is he accounting for this money? And we want to put a stop to this. Isn't that what Elon was doing back in January and February? Yes, he was. And look at how all the politicians started reacting and making it seem like Elon was doing something illegal or crazy, or that he needed to be stopped, or he wasn't elected. He's not allowed to do that. He's not the president. The president is the president. Or they would ridicule Trump and say, oh, well, you seem to be working for Elon Musk. They were doing all those things because they didn't want him to keep doing what he was actually doing. Nobody actually said, no, the money is all accounted for. Did y'all notice that? That when Elon Musk came in with DOJ, his whole thing was that America, the government, a lot of money is being sent out and sent to places that we don't know where, we don't know who, No one is being held accountable for this money. And this money has been going out consistently over years. We are just now finding it, and we're putting a stop to some of this stuff. Do you notice that when people started pushing back on Elon, nobody said he was wrong? Nobody said, hey, the money that he is talking about it is accounted for, and it is going to the right place, and there's nothing wrong with this financial transaction. Nobody was saying that. All people did was they started using pejoratives and they started throwing out red herrings. For those who know what a red herring is, it's a common logical fallacy that when someone is uncomfortable with something that you're saying, whether you're asking them a question or you're making a statement or you're asserting something, they go throw something out there that is designed to shift the focus and change the subject to something other than what you're talking about because they don't want to talk about what you're talking about. That's called a red herring. So when Elon Musk came out and said, hey, there's $10 million coming out of this department going that way, but we don't know who's getting that money or why it's going out. Nobody said, oh, well, here's what's happening, Elon. Here's the receipts of where that $10 million is going. Here's who it's for. And here's how it's being used. Nobody said that. All they said was, number one, they said Elon wasn't elected, so he's not allowed to do that. That's a red herring because he didn't actually answer the question. They said, well, Donald Trump is working for Elon Musk. Donald, I thought you were supposed to be some kind of boss. How are you working for Elon Musk? That's a red herring and is an appeal to ridicule. So they try to ridicule the Trump idea, because I doubt Trump was seeing these things, but maybe he was. They try to ridicule Trump into not allowing Elon to do what he's doing. Again, red herring does not address the question. They started to say, well, Elon's going to destroy Medicaid and take away SNAP benefits from people who need it. Those things never happen. That's another red herring, which a red herring is actually a lie, and it's a straw man to, again, distract from the actual point that Elon was making. No one ever said that what Elon was pointing out was wrong and that it didn't happen. All they did was try to change the subject. And now look at this. 6 months later, $14 billion in fraud uncovered by the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice is taking credit for this. I don't think they gave any credit to Elon Musk or DOJ for this. Maybe Elon Musk and DOJ had nothing to do with it. Maybe they didn't. But the fact that Elon brought it up and got everybody talking about it, whether you were talking positively or negatively, that needs to be mentioned in this conversation, because when he was saying it, they acted like he was doing something crazy. Now, the Department of Justice has put this out there, and nobody's saying that they're wrong. Nobody said they got it wrong. Nobody said that they can't do what they're doing, because, again, Elon might have had something to do with this. Maybe they're not going to give him credit. Who knows? But it needs to be put on the record. There's $12 billion in questionable activity that's still unaccounted for, ladies and gentlemen. $12 billion, they still don't even know where it is. How do you lose $12 billion? How does $12 billion get thrown around in the United States of America by our government and they don't know where the money is? And again, this is the Department of Justice. You know how many people work in the Department of Justice? Let's find out. They can't find $12 billion in our healthcare system. How big is that? The healthcare system is huge. I was just recording, whose show was it? It was Rob, a guy named Rob. His show, his podcast, and he works with a lot of people in the healthcare industry. It has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about here, but I just am thinking of him. So as of September 2024, the Department of Justice employs approximately 117,000 people. Not 117 people. 117,000 people. And the entire civilian workforce, 5% of it works at the Department of Justice. Now, this also includes like prisons, support personnel, correctional staff, etc. But the lawyers, it's probably half of them are lawyers. They got 117,000 people, folks, and they can't find $12 billion. This is the kind of fraud that is happening here. And just for the record, not for nothing, if I'm working in the healthcare industry and I believe I can get away with some fraud, and this happens a lot in the healthcare industry, people filing false claims and stuff like that. If I believe I can get away with it because I'm looking at this and seeing they got 117,000 people and they can't even track down $12 billion, I can go make me a couple 100,000 quietly and not get caught. I might try it too. I don't work in the healthcare industry, so DOJ don't send any investigators after me. I'm not in the industry. I don't file claims. But if I was working in the industry, I could see how I might be tempted by this, because people probably have been getting away with this. Not probably. I think it's fair enough to say definitely have been getting away with fraud like this for decades, and only rarely do people get caught. So these people who got charged, maybe they'll get away with it, maybe they won't, because they all get their day in court. But these people got caught, and at least they got charged. How many other frauds have gone on that nobody got caught and nobody got charged? I would say if y'all had to give a percentage, let's just stick to the healthcare industry. What percentage of fraud that happens in the healthcare industry actually gets discovered and charged, let alone found guilty? Just out of 0 to 100%. If 100% is all the fraud happening in healthcare, what percentage do you think actually gets identified and accused, let alone convicted? 1%, 10%, 50%, 100%? Give me a number. What percentage do you think actually gets charged? And as you can see, most of you are putting a number that's somewhere, biggest number I've seen so far is 25%. 25% or less. So a lot of fraud happens, folks, and nobody knows about it. Nobody catches it. Nobody accuses. Nobody goes to jail. The money doesn't get found, and people get away with this shit. And listen, the reason this happens is humans are humans, and people just do bad stuff. We know this. At the same time, the United States government is so bloated and so inefficient. I've said this over and over again. I've been saying it a lot this year. The United States government is so inefficient, you can get away with fraud, and if you don't get caught, it's not fraud. You just didn't get caught. You just did something. You got your money. Nobody knows. You probably shouldn't go on the internet talking about it, and you got away with it. Most of this stuff never gets looked at, let alone do you get caught, let alone do you get convicted. This is the reason why it's such a big deal with somebody like Diddy with this court case that he has and his possible conviction is the reason why this is such a big deal, because people like him who have a lot of money, status, power, and influence, and clearly he's done some things that ain't good. I mean, if you could say one thing he's done that we know isn't good is that he beat the shit out of his girlfriend in front of the elevator. That one is 100% fact. We know that happened. Everything else are being argued in court currently, and they're deliberating right now. But people who have that kind of power, status, fame, etc., they can get away with things that the average person couldn't get away with. And a lot of everyday people look at that and they're kind of pissed off. How do these people who have all this power, they get away with stuff? But if I was to do something like that, I'd get buried under the jail. So a lot of people are looking forward to seeing Diddy get his comeuppance, not so much because they have a problem with Diddy, because a lot of people don't even follow that industry or that world, but because of what he represents. Same thing as Harvey Weinstein. It's because of what he represents, a person with power, status, fame, etc. He allegedly got away with doing some bad things for a long time. Then he finally got held accountable for those bad things. He represents all the people who got away with it. It's not so much people have a problem with Harvey Weinstein or people have a problem with Diddy personally. Most of us don't know these guys and don't even know what they are accused of that they actually do. We don't know. They get to arguing in court and the jury comes to their conclusions. It's the representation of it. And that's the same thing with Diddy right now. Is people want to see someone like him who fits his profile get held accountable. And I think a lot of people will be celebratory if Diddy gets found guilty today. I think they're going to hand out the verdict today. I think it's coming today. By the way, the jury already decided on 5 of the counts. Diddy has 5 counts that they're deciding on. The jury has already decided on 4 of the 5. They didn't announce what they decided on the 4, and they're only trying to still argue about 1. The jury arguing with themselves about 1, and when they decide on that 1, they're going to announce the outcomes of all 5. That's probably going to happen today. So those of you who don't know, that's the update in the Diddy case. And as soon as we get that news, I'm not going live as soon as it happens, but I'm assuming it's going to happen today. That's my guess. If it happens today, I promise you, I guarantee you, tomorrow's live stream will be about the Diddy case. Okay, so everybody got that? And hopefully it happens today so that I can do the live tomorrow. And then Friday, I might not do a live. So Friday's a holiday, by the way, for those of you not in the United States. So anyway, continuing. Many of the criminal groups use offshore accounts and crypto to cover their tracks, and the government still found it. So what does this mean? Why does this matter? So many of the people who are involved in this fraud, again, allegedly, because they all get to go to court, allegedly, they use crypto and offshore accounts to cover their tracks. In other words, offshore account means a bank account that's not based in the United States of America. And they use cryptocurrency, which is supposed to be not as traceable as fiat money. And guess what? The Department of Justice still found it. So what does that tell us? One thing it tells us that the Department of Justice can find anything if they want to look for it. That's one thing it tells us. Anything they want to solve, they'll solve. So speaking of Diddy, why haven't they figured out who killed Tupac and Notorious B.I.G.? It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, they want to find something, they'll find it. If they want to get you, they'll get you. So when you see people who allegedly looks like they got away with something, or they got caught up in something that they shouldn't even got caught up for, is because the Department of Justice, and this is the way justice works in the United States of America. Y'all seen the Lady of Justice, right? The woman holding the scales. Notice that she has a blindfold on. Justice is supposed to be blind, right? Isn't that the way it's supposed to work? Justice is supposed to be blind. How many of you believe justice in America is blind? Put yes if you think it's blind, meaning the outcomes that happen in court in America are based on whether you actually did it or not, and put no if you think that's some bullshit. And justice basically comes down to who you are, who you know, and what you could possibly be allowed to get away with. Put yes if you think justice is blind. Put no if you think it's not. If you think justice is straight up blind, meaning if somebody ends up in court, they end up convicted or they walk based on the actual facts and the actual logic objectively of what happened, put yes. If you think it has a whole lot more to do with a lot of other things, such as who you are, who you know, how much money you got, how good your lawyers are, or if it has more to do with that, then put no. Personally, I would say no. And Pierre said it. He said they turn a blind eye to what they want to. Exactly. That's what I generally believe how it works in the legal system in the United States of America. And on one hand, I trust in the system. On one hand, I do not. And that Keon says, yes, he believes justice is blind. There's a few, I think I've seen a couple other people say that justice is blind. Who else said it? Did I see another yes in here? No, I didn't. I didn't see anybody else say yes. So the justice system in the United States of America is based on, first of all, number one thing, justice system in America is based on how much money you got. So for any of you who doesn't have a ton of money, whatever you consider that to be, and or even if you do have a ton of money, but you don't want to give your money to lawyers, stay out of court. I did a whole episode of my podcast talking about this. My podcast is called Work on Your Game. It comes out every day. It's free. You can find it on Apple or Spotify. And in that series, I talked about the main reason why you want to stay out of court is because court costs money. Court is expensive. Sasha Sims, I see you on Instagram. Crespo Realty, I see you over there on Instagram. Court is expensive. First of all, you got to spend your time going to court. Secondly, you got to pay your lawyers when you're in court. And third, you even got to pay court fees if you lose. What's a court fee? Aren't our taxes supposed to pay that? But anyway, you got to pay a court fee if you go to court. You want to stay out of court because when you end up in court in America, you're dealing with the justice system, which does not always produce an outcome that is based on objectively what is true or what is not true. It often has a ton to do with who's involved, who they are, who they know, what they have, et cetera, et cetera. The reason OJ got off is because OJ had really good lawyers. That's why he got off. Dershowitz, Kardashian, Cochran, F. Lee Bailey. That's why he got off, because he had all those lawyers. Now, did he actually do it or not? Maybe he didn't do it. But if OJ didn't have those good lawyers, he still would have went to jail. Y'all understand? Did he in this case? Is he guilty? Maybe he is. The reason that he has a chance of walking free today is because he has really good and expensive lawyers. If he didn't have those good and expensive lawyers, this wouldn't be a news story, and he would have got not arrested, but convicted and went to jail. He probably would have just pled guilty and begged for mercy from the court and try to get a lesser sentence. That's probably what he would have did if Diddy was some nobody dude, and y'all wouldn't know about this case. Neither would I know about it. It is all about what you have and who you know in the United States. That's why all of you should stay out of the court system, even if you got a ton of money and the best lawyers in the world. So the government seized $245 million in cash, and they blocked $3 billion more from going out the door. In other words, healthcare frauds and false claims, et cetera, et cetera. There was a case about 2025. How many years ago was this? Some of you may remember this. Those of you who follow basketball, where a bunch of ex-basketball players got taken to court and charged with filing fake claims. So how it will work, any of you know about medical fraud, how it works is relatively simple, is that a person claims that they have some type of injury that they don't really have, but they claim that they have the injury. Then they go get a doctor to confirm the injury. Then they file an insurance claim for the injury. And then whoever the insurance company is, they say, oh, damn, this person's injured. And because somebody has insurance, okay, the company that bought the insurance now has to pay out that insurance. So let's say I played for the New York Knicks and I retired 5 years ago. And then I claim I got a back injury while I was playing for the Knicks. So the Knicks need to compensate me for my bad back that I got on company time. I go file a false claim. I go get a doctor to verify that my back is actually injured. We file a claim with the insurance company, and the Knicks insurance company now has to pay me $50,000 to compensate me for my bad back. That's pretty much how it works. And I'm painting with a broad brush. So what happened a few years ago, those of you may remember, is that a bunch of ex-NBA players got caught up in a case where a bunch of them had made false claims like what I just described, and they collected the money, but they never were really injured. It was a fake claim, and they got a doctor to verify the fake claim. So it was this whole hustle. You want to talk about a RICO? There's a RICO. That's a conspiracy case. And they had to go to jail. A couple NBA players went to jail on this. There was a guy named Keon Dooling. He went to jail over it. There was a guy named Glenn Davis, also known as Big Baby. He went to jail for this. And there was a few others. But this kind of stuff happens all the time. And this is healthcare fraud. And it's a common thing because if you can get a doctor to go along with it, or you can fool the doctor, maybe sometimes you can fool the doctor, but the doctor's supposed to be so good that you can't fool the doctor. So again, there are people who know more about this stuff than I do. The reason I'm bringing this up is to say that the United States government seized $245 million. But let's remember, Sue said, my friend does Medicaid fraud involving doctors. Wait a minute, Sue, are you telling on your friend here? Or do you mean your friend does it as in they work in the justice system? Sue, I hope that's what you're saying. I hope you're not saying your friend actually does fraud. I don't think that's what you meant. But Sue, if that's what you meant, you need to delete that comment before the government comes after you. I think you mean they work in the system, the justice system. I hope that's what you're referring to. But the government said that this whole scheme was $14.6 billion with a B. They only recovered $245 million with an M, which means there's still and they stopped $3 billion from going out. So it's still $12 billion that they haven't even figured out. They haven't even figured out the $12 billion yet. They're going to find a good amount of it, but not all of it. Now, they shut down 15 million illegal pill distributors and medical supply scams. So another side of this is people who take not illicit, but they take prescription pharmaceuticals, and they get doctors to write those prescriptions for them. And either they have fooled the doctor or the doctor is in on it. And often the doctor is in on it. And this is how they end up catching the doctors as well. All you got to do is go find a doctor who's willing to play ball. So if you watch The Sopranos, you see that's what they do. They go find people who have straight, normal businesses, above board, legal businesses. And then they go talk to them and get a feel for, is this person willing to play ball? And play ball means this person willing to do some illegal stuff. And we can use their legal business as a front for the illegal stuff that we're doing. Please like the live, everybody on TikTok. We're at 22,000 likes. Let's get the like numbers up. This is a paltry number. Let's get up to 30,000 likes, please. Tap the screen, everybody on TikTok. Tap the screen, and little hearts will come up at the bottom corner right here, and the likes number will go up. Let's get up to 30,000 likes, please. So all they do is go, the people who are running the scams, the people who are the masterminds of the scam, what they do is go find someone who has a legal business and a license to do what they need done, go find out who's willing to operate and work with us. And of course, they get money for it, and then they go do it. Now, some people may be asking, why would a doctor, because a doctor is pretty much known as a well-paying job, right? A doctor is looked at as a well-paying gig. Let's see if we can find out. Average doctor salary. There's so many different types of doctors. Let's see what kind of information we can find. Average salary for a doctor in the United States of America. Average annual salary for a attending physician falls between $350,000 and $380,000 per year. That puts you in the top 5% of income earners in America, close to the top 2%. If you're between $350,000 and $380,000 a year, that's the average annual salary for a physician. Now, across all physician specialties, about $352,000. Recent Medscape-derived estimate places the average at $363,000. Primary care $277,000, specialists at $394,000. Primary care typically $260,000 to $280,000, specialists $380,000 to $400,000, depending on the field. So, neurosurgeon $764,000 a year. Orthopedic surgeon $655,000. Plastic surgeon $620,000. Cardiologist $565,000. Dermatologist $494,000 a year. So clearly these people are making pretty good money compared to the average person. All right, you're making about $250,000 a year. You're in the top 5% of income earners in America. So these people are making money. I'm bringing that up to say this. Why would they do this? You're a doctor, you got a license, and you're already making more than 95% of people in America. Why would you do something like this? Any of you know the answer? Put it in the comments. Why would you do this if you're already making money? There was a recent story that came out a couple of days ago of an NBA player named Malik Beasley. He played for the Detroit Pistons last season. He is caught up in what might be a gambling scheme. Again, they're just looking at it. They're investigating him. He hasn't been charged yet. He's being investigated for a gambling scheme. And according to what came out, and one of the reasons that this got found, and I just saw this on social media this morning. A lot of people don't know about this. So what they're saying is basically there's gambling in sports. We all know there's gambling in sports. You gamble on damn near anything in sports. You gamble on who's going to grab the first rebound in the game or how many three-pointers this player is going to make, who's going to score the first touchdown in the Super Bowl. You gamble on anything. And people who are addicted to gambling, they just gamble on stuff just to gamble. So this NBA player who makes, who knows, I don't know how much money he made. Let's just say he made $5 million for the season. All right, he worked for 8 months. He made $5 million. Why would he be involved in a gambling scheme? And how much money could you possibly make gambling that you need to do something like that? Here's what y'all got to understand. Actually, let me tell you how they found out more about this, because he was just being investigated, not charged yet. But then this story came out. This guy who works in Detroit in the news is that Malik Beasley, this basketball player, check this out. He promised a couple of licensed professionals who just had some money that he would pay them back what he owed them based on the future earnings he would make from the NBA. So in other words, he went to let me see if I can find this story because it was out here earlier today. I don't know if I can find it. Actually, I'm pretty sure I will find it. So Beasley, let's see. So where is it? Yeah, so he was in debt. He owed a whole bunch of people money. And there was a guy who posted this earlier this morning, and I saw it, but I don't think I can find it. It was randomly on X. So what happened is I've been with Malik for a long time. I'm his lawyer. I don't get involved in his finance. No, it's not this. No. So he got sued. First of all, this basketball player got sued for failing to pay rent. He owed $7,000 in rent that he hadn't paid. Then he owed $14,000 in rent that he had not paid. And then there was a barbershop who he owed $26,000. So there's a barbershop in Milwaukee because this kid used to play in Milwaukee, Malik Beasley. He owed the barbershop $26,000. Now, how many haircuts you got to get to owe a barbershop $26,000? So a bunch of people are saying greed. Yes, the main reason is greed. Now, here's the thing. This guy, the barbershop, and there was another person that I got to find the story of what this person said. It was a person in the, again, he works in the news, and he was explaining it, that Beasley, is this it? A dentist. Yeah, here it is. So there was a dentist who lives in Minnesota, because this kid, I believe Beasley played in Minnesota for a while. So the dentist started garnishing. Okay, so in February, check this out. Listen to this one. In February of this year, an NBA player, we got to find out how much money this guy was making. I don't even care how much money he makes, but this probably will help add some substance to the story. So this guy's name is Malik Beasley. Let's find out what his income is. And he's only 28 years old. So this guy's relatively young. He probably has a nice contract. He was about to negotiate for a bigger contract, and now they halted the negotiation for the contract because of this situation it's in. Oh, so here's what happened. I think I could tell you exactly what happened. So he's been in the NBA since 2016. His first 3 years in the league, his salary was a little bit under $2 million each year. So he made 1.6, 1.7, 1.7 his first 3 years in the league, 17, 18, 19. 2020, he made about $3 million. In 2021, he started making bigger money. So from 21 to 23, 3 seasons, he earned $13 million, $14 million, and $15 million. So he was making a nice amount of money, mostly playing for the 2 years in Minnesota, 1 year for the Lakers. 13, 14, and 15, 3 years, 1, 2, 3. So what's that? 27, 37. He made $42 million in 3 years. Last season, mind you, he made $42 million over 3 seasons. Last season, his contract dipped. He must have played poorly the year before, but he got a shit contract. Last year, he only made $2 million. So mind you, this guy went from making 13, 14, and $15 million a year to making $2 million in a year. So now his lifestyle, I'm assuming his lifestyle increased with his money increasing. Then his money dipped down to only $2 million. And he was probably in some situation. And right now, he's a free agent. And he had a 1-year contract this past season for $6 million. And yeah, he's probably trying to get back to that $15 million. So a dentist in Minnesota took him to court. Nobody knew about this. I didn't know about this. This happened in February. This was not news. A dentist in Minnesota took this kid to court and got a judgment against him for $34,000. A dentist. How is a dentist taking a basketball player to court for $34,000? I don't know what you can get done to your teeth that costs $34,000. I don't think this was for teeth work. I believe what I saw earlier, and I can't find the tweet from the guy, is that this basketball player was covering his gambling debts by borrowing money from the dentist. So the dentist had the money. He said, "Look, I'll loan you $20,000 to pay off your gambling debts, but then you got to pay me back like $25,000. So the $5,000 is the interest. I'll pay me back my $20,000 plus $5,000 because I lent you the money." And it's something like that. I'm thinking that's the case. And this guy, Malik Beasley, the basketball player, didn't pay him back. So he's supposed to pay this guy back $25,000, and the dentist is sitting there like, "Yo, you playing the NBA? Like, you got $25,000. Give me my money." Again, he only sued him for $34,000. $34,000 that's still a lot of money, but to a guy who made in his career so far $53 million, he owed this guy $34,000. He's made $53. The guy had to take him to court because Malik Beasley wouldn't pay. The guy beat him in court. So he owes this dentist $34,000. And the debt still has not been satisfied. He lost the court case, still hasn't paid the guy his 34 G's. This is an NBA player who's made $53 million in 8 years. He didn't make $53 million in 50 years. He made $53 million in 8 years. And he owes $34,000 to a dentist. I'm saying all that to say this. How does somebody end up in a situation like this? And this basketball player makes more than most doctors. A really good doctor makes $764,000 a year. Now, I'm sure there are doctors on the higher side of that. But $1 million for a doctor is a significant amount of money. You're way up there in terms of doctors. $1 million in the NBA you're at the bottom. This guy was making 1.6 his rookie year when he was nobody. Do y'all understand what I'm saying here? So how does he get caught up in this situation? And how do healthcare professionals get caught up in this situation, even though you're making all this money? It's because people are always trying to get more. It's the greed. Trying to get more, trying to multiply what you already have. And if somebody offers you a free lunch and dangles it in front of you, you might say, "Well, I might as well take that. It's right there." Why not? Remember, everybody, the third law of economics. There are no free lunches. There are no free lunches. Anything that you get that seems like it too good to be true or too easily obtained with no effort, there is some hooks involved in that bait. And you might only find out that there are hooks in the bait after you take the bait. So you got to pay attention. And you got to think twice and look before you leap, as we used to say back in the day. DJ the Medium said doctors don't make that much. Well, I just told you what the average is for certain doctors in certain professions. It's a significant amount of money. Puts you in the top. Again, $250K puts you in the top 5%, 10%. And $400K puts you in the top 2% in America. All these doctors who I'm listing off, all at least $400K a year. Now, of course, there are doctors on the lower end. There are doctors on the higher end that can bring the number up or down. These are the averages, and these are specialists I'm talking about. I'm talking about specialist doctors, not general doctors, specialists. So it depends on what type of medicine we're talking here. Anyway, continuing. Why would doctors who make this kind of money even get involved in something like this when they can just step their skills up as a doctor, get more certifications, et cetera, and make more money the legal way? Why get involved in these types of scams? Because it's easy money. When someone offers easy money, a lot of people will take it. Easy money that we can't get caught doing. Hey, why not? Why not? Anybody can get caught up in that when the free lunch gets dangled in front of them. All you just keep in mind, there are no free lunches. So millions of Americans had their identities used with no warning or protection. So identity theft was a common thing. And a lot of high-level professionals were exposed. Doctors, nurses, pharmacists. I don't know. They put out a list of the actual people. Not like I would know who any of them is anyway, but a lot of licensed professionals got caught up in this. So this is not just a whole bunch of scammers in some dark basement on a computer. These are actual licensed professionals who were putting their professional reputations and using it as part of the hustle. So this proves how vulnerable and corrupt parts of the medical system are. Yes, but it also proves how vulnerable people can be, even a licensed professional, when you offer them an easy meal that they don't have to pay for. That's really what you should think about. And it sends a message that the DOJ is looking at this stuff, maybe, but how much stuff have they not looked at that has already happened? Probably 1,000 for every one that they catch. Now, this happens after years of silence. Where were the watchdogs before then? This is a good question. Nowhere. Wasn't no watchdogs. That's the whole point. So this advanced fraud detection and AI is starting to help. I'm pretty sure the DOJ has access to all the tech that we got access to, all of us. They had 10 times that. So whatever we can do technologically, they can do 10 times as much as that. Be careful these days, folks, if you're going to do anything below the board in terms of the law, because a lot of things we do today, it's all digital, and everything you do digitally has a receipt. Always remember that. There's always a digital footprint to everything that you do. Get the likes up, TikTok. Our likes are too low right now. We're at 33,000. Get the likes up, please. We only got 34,000 likes. Let's get the likes up. Get the likes up. Let's get up to 40,000 likes here on TikTok, please. Get the 40,000 likes within the next 6 minutes. It's 8:54. Let's get the 40,000 likes. We really should be at 50 within the next 6 minutes. Now, the things that you do digitally these days, there's a receipt to everything. Somebody has a copy of everything that you've done, even if you don't have a copy or the person you sent it to doesn't have a copy. The platform you sent it on does have a copy of every single thing you've ever said, everything you've ever done. If the DOJ comes to them and subpoenas them and says, we want all the records from Mike's Instagram for the last 15 years, they will give it to them. So be very careful what you're doing on the internet. Now, at the same time, criminals are evolving too, using clinics, deep fakes, AI, etc. So it's just this race. It's just spy versus spy race when it comes to this stuff. Get the likes up, please. Get the likes up on TikTok. So some say that this will restore public confidence, that fraud isn't being ignored anymore. I'm dubious. I'm skeptical of that. Fraud has never been ignored. It's just that the DOJ doesn't, even with 117,000 employees, they don't have enough people to catch all the fraud. There are more criminals than there are cops, and they can't catch everybody. And that's why, again, you always have this issue when it comes to the legal system. What are you deciding to go after and what are you deciding to ignore? That's always going to be a question. So most Americans still believe that the ultra rich and the powerful rarely face consequences. I touched on that already, which is why many people are excited to see Diddy get convicted. Not, again, because of Diddy. It's not because of Diddy. It's because of who he represents. Powerful man who's been around for a long time and clearly has done some bad things because, again, he beat his girlfriend's ass in front of the elevator. Nobody can say that didn't happen. It happened. And that's enough for a lot of people to say, okay, let's let him get penalized. It makes me feel better about all the other ones that got away with it. I understand that. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. And a lot of people are looking at something like this the same way. So the DOJ did actually deliver results, we think, because it's just a charge. It's not proof that they did it. They still got to go to court. But there's still billions of dollars that got lost. And this is where I think a lot of Americans, if you want to be pissed off about something, get pissed off about this. You want to get pissed off about anything in this situation, get pissed off about this right here. Please get the likes up, folks. Get the likes up. Let's get to 50,000 likes. We're at 40. Thank you. Thanks to the moderators in here telling people to tap the screen. Let's get to 50,000 likes, please, in the next 4 minutes. Billions of dollars got lost in fraudulent claims, allegedly, according to the Department of Justice. How is it? This is the real question that needs to be asked. How is it that the medical system can find billions of dollars to pay out claims that weren't even real, yet there are people out here who don't know how they're going to pay for groceries, how they're going to pay their insurance, how they're going to pay their rent, how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to pay for college, don't have a place to live, don't have food on their tables. How is it that somehow, some way, that the system can come up with money for a bunch of stuff that ain't even real and fraud and bullshit, but we can't solve these simple problems that we have in our country, such as not everybody has a place to stay and not everybody has clothes on their back or food on their plates? That is a legitimate question because it appears that the money can be created when it needs to be created if someone sees the need. Someone who can push the button sees the need to create the money, they can create the money. If America went to war right now, we come up with as much money as we needed to fight. If someone invaded our land in America, the war was happening in America, we come up with unlimited money to fight back. Everybody agrees to that, I think. But there are people who don't have a place to live, and we can't come up with money to fix that, which is probably a lot less money. Why is that? If you want to know my theory is that there are people who are incentivized to keep the problems existing because that justifies their existence. Because clearly the money can be gotten. I mean, logically, I think we all can agree. You may not like how the money gets gotten, but the money can be gotten. The Federal Reserve can print money as much as they want, whenever they want, and we can solve pretty much any problem we want that involves money, that requires money. We can solve it. Why not solve the problem? Because there are people who are incentivized to keep the problems existing, because if the problem doesn't exist, then they don't exist. That's the real game in the United States of America. And all of you need to understand that. This is a lot of politicians fit this description. A lot of agencies in the United States government fit this description. A lot of public services fit this description. They are incentivized to maintain the problem. They want to look like they're trying to solve it. And every once in a while, they'll deliver a result or two. But generally, they need the problem to exist, because if the problem stopped existing, then what we need you for? And then they'll be gone. So they need the problem. Same thing, again, a lot of politicians, a lot of your favorite, most of the politicians we know are what? They're in the three branches. You got the executive branch, which is the president, vice president. You got Congress, which is 500 plus people, and you got the Supreme Court. And we'll not even use the court. We could just, and we don't even have to use the executive branch. We'll just say Congress. We just talk about them. 500 plus people in Congress. Most of them exist to keep telling you how there's a problem that they allegedly are working to solve. But if they really did solve the problem, then they would need to retire because they solved their problem. All they're going to do is come up with another problem. Or they're going to exacerbate the problem that already exists, not actually solve it. And they're going to blame somebody else on the other side of the aisle for the fact that they haven't solved the problem yet, even though you voted them in to solve the problem. They failed to solve it in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years. Now you got to vote for me again so I can keep fighting for you to fix the problem. Isn't this how they talk? I'm fighting for the people of Texas. I'm fighting for the people in my state of Louisiana. I'm fighting for Americans. This is all bullshit. This is all a show, ladies and gentlemen. All of this shit is a show. They are incentivized to maintain problems so that they can keep you voting for them and keep you dependent on them. That's how the government works in the United States of America. So what I'm telling all of you is just be careful that you don't become dependent on the government for anything. I've said this anytime I talk about the government, I always bring this point up. Do not become dependent on the government for anything. The government is not trustworthy. The government is not on your side. The government is not actually trying to help you. And if the government actually does anything to help you, consider that to be extra. Do not consider that to be the norm. Do not start expecting that to occur. If you fall for that, you're a fool. All right, I'm telling that to everybody who's listening to this. If you fall for the idea that the government is actually trying to help you, even if it did help you once, don't think that that's the norm. Do not come to expect that. Do not have that expectation that the government is here to help you. No, they're not. As Ronald Reagan, I believe, famously said, one phrase you never want to hear is "we're from the government and we're here to help," because they won't help. They're not going to solve anything. All that being said, let's get to the comments here. TikTok is on you folks over here. I'm reading the comments from the oldest to the newest, by the way, so don't think I'm ignoring your comment. I'm just reading from the oldest to the newest. XTR said, where did the recovered funds go? So they only collected $245 million. Only $245 million. They probably just hold it until the case is done because, mind you, XTR, the recovered funds this is all allegedly that they recovered funds because the people who got charged still get to go to court. And let's say the people who got charged win, they got to give them their money back. So they can't keep that money if there was no actual crime. So we don't know yet what's going to happen with the money. Right now, what happens is they just hold the money is what they do. And they announced $245 million. So who knows? If you ever watch a cop show, you know that sometimes the cops who catch a thief who has a bunch of money in cash, they might keep some of that money. So maybe it might have been $345 million and $100 million got skimmed off the top by the cops. I'm joking, but that happens. Palmetto said, makes me ask two questions. Why is there not an annual audit of government spending annually? Well, Elon Musk tried that. Do you see what happened to him? Elon Musk tried to do that, and you see what happened to him. And another answer to that same question, Palmetto, Game Truck SC, is that there is an annual audit of the government. There is actually an audit every year. You know what happens? The government fails the audit every year. Elon Musk put this out there. This has always been a thing. The government fails their own audit every single year. Now, usually when you fail an audit, there's a penalty and then a deeper investigation. Here's what happens in the United States government. They fail their audit and then there's no penalty and there's no deeper investigation. They just say, oh, we failed our audit. All right, see you next year. Now, again, I'm being hyperbolic, but that's pretty much what happens. So nothing happens when they fail their audit. If you fail your audit, you got a problem. They fail their audit. We failed our audit. Let's keep going. What's for lunch? All right, let's get the likes up, folks. Let's get the 55,000 likes. Palmetto said, what is the budget office doing? Well, now that they got Elon out of there, nothing. They're back to doing nothing. G said, when you have a shelf full of your own books and no one else's, you're a scam artist and a huckster. That's what G said. G said, I'm a scam artist and a huckster because I have a shelf full of my own books and no one else's. Well, let's talk about that. Number one, I have a shelf full of these books because I actually ship out some of my own books many times. Number two, I have a shelf full of other people's books. You just can't see them because they're below the fold, so to speak. So the books that you can see when I'm on camera are my books because that's self-promotion for me. And I got a bunch of books that are not mine that are on the lower three shelves of the lower three levels of these shelves that you can't see. So I just, first of all, answered part of what you said there and then refuted it because you're trying to make a claim that's actually not true. So nice try. I will give you the straw man in the day. Should we give G the straw man in the day for saying this? You have a shelf full of your own books and no one else's. You're a scam artist and hug. Should we give him the straw man? Yeah, we got to give you the straw man because we got to give you the straw man in the day. So G, congratulations on getting the straw man in the day. For those of you who don't know what that is, a straw man, first of all, is a logical fallacy. When someone takes something that you said, done, or represent, and they rephrase it into something that you did not say, do, or represent, and then they present it to you or to the world as if that's the reality. And this is what G just tried to do. He also used an appeal to ridicule here and an ad hominem at well. So he used basically three fallacies in one. So congratulations to you, G, for that. The 3-in-1 fallacy, including the straw man, the appeal to ridicule, and the ad hominem. And just explain it. So we get a straw man in the day to the first person every day in the comments that I see who has used a straw man. And G, you got the award today. Congratulations to you. Deanna said, exactly. Thank you. Didn't try to prove them wrong. Thank you for saying this. You're welcome. Sasha said, because everyone already knew it was a swamp. Yeah. And he was trying to do something about it. Run Tab said 37 trillion in debt, though. Oh, yeah. And they're about to raise the debt ceiling if this big, beautiful bill passes the House. It passed the Senate. Now they're trying to pass the House. Sasha said they have lost more than that with defense contractors. I'm pretty sure you're right. Running Tab said BlackRock probably spent that over the weekend. Well, hey, they're doing it legally. That's a different story. Different story if they did it legally. Nicole said Florida is the capital of fraud. Why is that? What makes Florida different from any other state? And Nicole, I would actually challenge you on that. The capital of fraud is Washington, D.C. No, it's not Florida. So you're actually wrong. Florida, if Florida is the best state in terms of fraud, they're number 2 in the country because number 1 absolutely is Washington, D.C. That one is not debatable. Pierre said politicians get away with it. Oh, yes, they do. That's absolutely true. Ivermectin said, can we investigate every politician and hold them accountable for the corruption they're involved in? Investigate them with what? Ivermectin. Who's going to investigate a politician? Who controls the investigators? The politicians. All right, that's why it's a hustle. All right, this is the reason why politicians become politicians, not because of the salary. It ain't really that much money. It's all the access. Traditional said crypto is traceable. Yeah, well, obviously. Yeah, they found it. Allegedly. Again, allegedly. Heart A said they found it because they need to justify the Medicaid cut. Allegedly. None of this is proven yet. So we got to see what actually ends up happening. Everybody gets to go to court. Michelle said, no, justice is not blind, seen it firsthand. Well, I think all of us know that justice is not blind. Patty said, no, but yes, in some cases. I think in some cases, things can go objectively and logically how they should go based on a reasonable person's assumption. The thing is that a big role in what happens in a legal case has a lot to do with things that have nothing to do with the actual facts of the situation. Starlight said, justice is no longer the same as yesterday. What do you mean by that? Ronaldo, LLC, Reinaldo. Considering Trump is a convicted felon and still president, I say no. Somebody had to throw a Trump jab in here. We're not even talking about Trump, but okay. Keon said, I can't be framed if I did it. If I did it, if not. Keon said, I can't be framed if I did it. And if I did it, I did it if not. I don't know about that, Keon. I think you can be framed. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit in the house. Good morning. Apple, Glock, I don't know who that person is you're talking about. Sue Smith said that R. Kelly had bad lawyers. No, R. Kelly had good lawyers, but R. Kelly they just had him. They just got R. Kelly. So this is the argument that people can make in favor of the justice system, is that sometimes someone, it looks like they are guilty and then they get found guilty. And then sometimes someone looks like they're not guilty, they get found not guilty. The thing is, it all comes down to a judgment call. That's the reason why you want to stay out of court, because when you go to court, there's a trial and the outcome of your situation is determined by a human being. Human beings look at things subjectively. Most human beings are not objective. Even me, I try to be as objective as possible. I think I am more logical than 99% of people. However, I still have subjective things, subjective ways that I look at life, because I'm a human being. So if you put yourself in a situation where human beings who look at things subjectively by nature are deciding your fate, you are gambling. That's what it is. When you end up in court, you're gambling, because people get to make subjective judgments about you. This is what Diddy's dealing with right now. And they should be in court right now deliberating. Traditional said, was that under workers' comp? I don't know. It probably was. So Palmetto said, making money doesn't always mean they have it. Yeah, exactly. Again, that's the reason why I said people will do this stuff. They could be making money and just want to make more, or they could be making money and spending money, and then they want to replenish their money, so they go do other things. So you're right about that. Sue said, gambling is an addiction. It can become an addiction. Amanda said, private practices do not make as much as people think. Insurance reimbursements are extremely low. Yeah, again, it depends on what type of business type of doctor you are, type of business you're running. That is correct. Miami said, $26K for a haircut is crazy. Yeah, I don't think it was for a haircut. I don't think he has that much hair that he owed $26,000. And why would you keep giving him haircuts? When he got to about $10,000 that he owed you, you might have stopped wanting to cut his hair. But I don't think that's where he came from. Sue said a dentist took his wife's life to cash in $4 million insurance. He got locked up. Yeah, because he got caught. Yeah. Take from the poor, give to the billionaires. Great policy. Keep on living life says. What are you referring to? Kel Brew said implants and cost up to $50K. Well, Kel Brew, we solved this problem yesterday, and we were talking about Jeff Bezos' new wife. That all you got to do is get all the billionaires, get them married to a bunch of women, and get them to impregnate a bunch of women, and then have those women go get surgery. And all the money in the billionaires' pockets will eventually go back out into the larger population. So there's your trickle-down economy right there. XTR said dental work is really expensive. Well, it depends on what kind of work. This guy's 28 years old, and I don't think his dental work costs that much money. Miami says, so he gambled all the money away? Not necessarily. Look, he might have all the money in his bank account. He just may be a greedy person who just wants to make more money. And he saw a way to make some on the side, so he decided to do it. He might have all $53 million in the bank. Maybe. It might also be that his lifestyle became so enriched because he was making $14 million a year for 3 years straight that he wanted to keep that up. But his last season, he only earned $2 million and then $6 million. So his money was down. Maybe he just needed to keep his lifestyle up, so he wanted to make some extra money. Or maybe the guy's just a degenerate gambler who just likes to gamble and has nothing to do with the money. Maybe it just ain't got nothing to do with money. He just like gambling. So it could be several reasons why this has occurred. And again, all of this is allegedly right now because he has not been charged with a crime. This is all an investigation that's happening right now. That's it. Danielle said, trying to multiply it fast with less work. Yes, generally. That's the fast dollar that a lot of people fall for. Miami said he probably had women as well. Yeah, I'm sure he did, but I don't think women cost that much money. Any type of woman costs that much money. Wes said, you're right about greed, but this guy also had a gambling addiction, obviously. Maybe. He might not have a gambling addiction. It depends. And also, another thing, when you're an athlete, you might get people coming to you. Okay, you play for the Milwaukee Bucks. How about you miss all your three-pointers tonight? And if you miss all your three-pointers, we'll pay you $50,000 because we're going to bet on you missing all your three-pointers. We're going to win $300,000 on the bet. We'll give you $50,000 if you actually help us win the bet. Then you go out there, you miss all your three-pointers, and you get $50,000 for missing all your three-pointers. So shit, all I got to do is do something like this, and I can get some extra money. Okay, wasn't the next time I'm going to bet. All right, bet on me again. And you keep doing that. Now you're just making some extra money for doing something that seems like part of your normal job anyway. So, I mean, not to say he's trying to miss three-pointers. But, again, there could be many different reasons why he ended up in this situation. So we can't draw any conclusions yet. And, again, this is still an investigation, not a criminal case. Miami said, I will brush his teeth for $36K. Yeah, that's right. Yes, everybody tap the screen, folks. We're at 58,000 likes. Can we get to 60,000? Traditional, thanks for reminding me. Miami said these guys have new money and don't know what to do. Possibly. Palmetto said Shaq and some NBA players were in news about some stock market deals going wrong. You hear about that. Well, that happens all the time. A stock market deal going wrong is a normal thing, though, because, I mean, when you're in the stock market, you are technically gambling. Tap the screen, everybody. We're at 58,000. Tap the screen. Tap the screen. Get the likes up. Get the likes up on TikTok. We're at 58,000. I need 60K before I keep answering questions. I need 60,000 likes before I keep answering questions. We're at 58,000. 59,000 now. 700 more likes, folks, and we'll keep going. Now we need 500 more, 400 more, 300 more. Keep going, 200 more. Keep going, 100 more. There we go, 60,000. Miami said they should go through financial and scams classes. Women, this is crazy. So Miami, they do that. NBA does that. I've done some work with the NBA after I stopped playing, and they would bring people like myself in as like outside speakers and experts, and we would talk to the players both in the NBA league and the G League about certain things. So I was brought in specifically to talk about transitioning. When you leave basketball, how can you transition successfully from being an athlete to being something else in the professional space? Just thinking about the structure and the way you want to think about it, and et cetera, transitioning from being an athlete to the rest of your life. That's what I was talking about. There was a woman there who would talk about domestic violence, and she would also talk about like who are your friends and who are your people in life outside of you being a basketball player. What's your identity outside of basketball? Then you had some people from the league who would talk just about regular league stuff that the players need to know. And then you would have financial people who would come in and talk. Here's what you need to know about your money. Here's how you can organize your money. Here's how you can make sure you're watching your money. Don't just hand over power of attorney to your agent or to a financial advisor, because they could easily steal your money and you're not paying attention. So the professional sports leagues, the team sports, hockey, baseball, football, basketball, they all have players unions. When players come into the league, and a lot of people don't know this, they have what is it called? It's a program that when you first come into the NBA, let's say like last week they had the NBA draft, right? Those players who got drafted, before they start playing in the NBA, there's an event that they have to go to. They used to call it the rookie transition program. It might have the same name still to this day. In that program, you must attend. This is a mandated event. In that program, you get taught all these things. There's experts and speakers who come up during the entire, I don't know how long this is, it might be a week or a few days. You got to go. And they tell you all this stuff. So it's not like they just throw the players $10 million. You've been broke your whole life. Now I'm going to give you $10 million a year. Go up. They actually try to help them and tell them these things that they need to know. They try to give the players the game. But if the players don't follow the game, then they just go do what they want to do. I will tell you from personal experience, when I was speaking, working with the NBA on this stuff, the first meeting I went to, the first one I ever did, I believe was in Detroit, Michigan. We were talking to the G League team in Michigan. And I was talking to two representatives from the G League who were there, because it will always be somebody from the league at the event to kind of run the event. And I was talking to them before the event, and I know what I know from having been a player myself. I'm there talking about, think about my position. I had stopped playing like 2-3 years before this. And I'm about to talk to a bunch of players who are playing right now about what you're going to do after you play basketball. And I already knew, just from my experience as an athlete, do they even want to hear this shit? Do they want to hear somebody like me? Because, mind you, these are guys in the G League. So they're striving to get to the league so they can get their payday and keep playing ball. And some of these dudes are very young. They might be in there. They might be 22. They don't want to hear some dude talking about what you're going to do after basketball. Like, motherfucker, I just started. What are you talking about after basketball? So I asked the people from the G League. I asked them this when we were at lunch. Do the players actually want to hear somebody like me talking about this stuff? And the woman, one was a man, the other one was a woman. She had played in the WNBA, but now she worked for the league. She said, no, they just want to play ball. And I said, that's what I thought. And the reason why that matters is because in the rookie transition program, you got a bunch of people coming up there, usually people who are way older than them. So mind you, rookie transition, these guys are like 22, 21, 22, 19. You get somebody up there 35 or 50 or 42 stepping on the stage telling you about some long-term shit. You 19. You don't hear about that. You don't want to hear about no long-term stuff and financial planning and retirement. And dude, I just got in the league. I ain't even play a game yet. You talking about retirement. You're talking about my future. You're talking about how protect my money after basketball. Most of the players didn't want to hear that shit. And again, I was in the room. I've been a player myself, so I knew most of the players didn't want to hear it. That's why I asked the question, because I insightfully understood that this is not what they want to hear. Most of them don't. I would say about 10% of the players wanted to hear it. So the way that we would do it is we would have two teams together at the same time. We would basically, the meetings would be like the day before they played in the game. So if the Chicago team and the Milwaukee team were about to play a game against each other in Milwaukee, we would have the meeting in Milwaukee on Tuesday, and then the Chicago and both teams would be in the room. So it's 10 players on each roster, it'd be 20 guys in the room. And then the next day, they'd be playing against each other in the game. And those 20 players in the room, usually, my experience, and I talked to every team in the G League that year, 2 to 4 players in the room would be interested in hearing what I was talking about. The other 16 dudes, they'd just be sitting there like, I mean, they're being polite. They weren't being rude, but they would just sit there quietly and not say shit and just hope that the meeting ended as quickly as possible because they had to be there. It was a mandated meeting. They just wanted to do what the fuck they wanted to do and just play basketball. They didn't want to hear this shit. I'm saying all that to say, what you mentioned there in Miami, you're correct, but you're speaking very logically and rationally. What do you think a 19-year-old who just signed a contract for $10 million wants to hear when somebody who's 35 talking about what you're going to do after basketball? They don't hear you. They just got signed a contract for $10 million. You telling me what's going to happen after basketball? I just started playing. I just got $10 million. I'm about to get another 10, then 20, then 50, then 100. What you talking about? I don't need to worry about my money. Look at all this money I got coming in. So you got to think about the mindset of the person you're talking to. Miami said Diddy openly talked about his after parties as long as I can remember. Now, see, the Diddy parties, there's 2 Diddy parties, everybody. The Diddy party that you saw on TV was a good party. That was a good party. I would go to that kind of party. Now, when Diddy was having those parties, I never went to one, but had I got invited to one of those parties, I would go to a Diddy party. My wife was telling me she got invited to a Diddy party once in Miami. She didn't go, according to what she said. But anyway, I would have went to a Diddy party had I got invited to the above board Diddy party with the cameras and everybody taking pictures and the celebrity. I would have went to one of those. Shit, meet some girls. Diddy probably attracts a lot of attractive women to his party. I would have went to one of those parties. Now, then there was the party after the party. Now, that kind of party, no. Now, after party, you're talking about the after the club party. I would go to that. Now, the after party, I'm not staying for that. I'm leaving. And I told y'all this. If I was at a Diddy party and I see LeBron James over there, Jay-Z over there, and Oprah over here, I'm watching them because when LeBron leaves, I'm leaving. And when Jay-Z leaves, I'm leaving. When Oprah leaves, I'm leaving. I watch Oprah. I don't think Oprah was doing any freak offs with Diddy. So I'm just watching Oprah. Oprah's like 60, 70 years old. So when I see Oprah getting her coat, I'm leaving. All right. As long as Oprah was at the party, I'll stay. And the amount of time Oprah's at the party, let's say Oprah's in the party for 2-3 hours, drinking drinks and dancing and laughing. All right, 2 to 3 hours is enough time that if there's some girls in there that I can meet, all right, in 2 to 3 hours, I can meet the girls. So let me go meet some girls. Let me find a girl. Maybe I'm taking one with me. All right, I got 3 hours. If you can't get a girl to go home with you in 3 hours, you might as well just chalk it up, go to sleep, and come back tomorrow, try again. I don't need any more time than that. I'm just speaking for myself. So the after party, I don't need to be there. So Carlos said, and they're not billionaires, so I hate on the billionaires. Yeah, I don't think billionaires have anything to do with this one. Rinaldo said, I was denied insurance for my orthotics for my feet after I had 3 reconstructed foot surgeries. I've heard so many stories of people getting denied claims when they really need it. This is why I'm not a fan of a lot of industries we have in America that are government run. G Money said, it's not just created, it's debt borrowed from other countries. Okay, fair addition to the conversation. Thank you for saying that. G Money says, proven time and again, when you give anything to anyone, they become slothful. That is proven. That's human nature. You're correct about that one. Please like the live, folks. Please like the live. Where are we in the comments? Let's see. Appreciate you, Miami. Concrete said, you are absolutely correct. Thank you. XTR said, that's why they hate Trump. Look how much he has done in a short time. Well, look how much he has done in a short time, depending on how you're looking at him. So some people say he's done a bunch of terrible. Some people say he's done a bunch of great. Some people are in between. So it depends on what you mean by that. Daniel said the government isn't going to punish themselves when they fail. It needs a third party involved like Elon. Yeah, so Elon tried to come in as a third party, and you see what happened. They're not going to sit there and let that happen. Cure fan said, isn't strawman another term for someone gaslighting? Well, gaslighting is a more newer term. Strawman is the official term that I use in the way that I describe. Gaslighting is it can be a form of a straw man, but gaslighting is more about trying to trigger somebody's emotions. So it depends on their reaction. Gaslighting is really about, well, gaslighting depends on how somebody is responding to what's happening or the intention behind it, which makes it very subjective. Straw man is not very subjective. It's much more objective. And I tend to lean more on the logical side. So I often don't even accuse people of gaslighting, but I do point out people's straw man because it's more logical. Salty Face said, off topic, but what is my skin routine? I don't have a skin routine. I drink a whole lot of water. I exercise every day. What else? Those are my two main things for a skin routine. I do use some face cream, not face cream, but face wash every day. Let me see if I can find what it is. There is some face wash. Face wash I use is actually coming by Amazon. Looking at my subscribe and save. It will be here on July 11th. So 9 days from now, a replenishment of this. I use this, a Cure Brightening Cleansing Gel. I just use this at night every day. The Cure Brightening Cleansing Gel. This ain't no miracle thing. I mean, I just use this at night to clean my face off because I do, you perspire, you sweat and all that stuff, working out and just being outside and just natural oils from your face. So I use this every day, but it ain't nothing amazing about it. Maybe it's not from what I can tell. But really just drinking a lot of water and exercise. It's my skin routine, if you want to call that a routine. Carlos said, I hope this case is stronger than the case against Diddy. Well, this is a case against hundreds, which are going to become thousands of people. So I don't know. Cure fans said, what's your thoughts on trickle-down economy? Well, in a tongue-in-cheek way, Cure fans, we solved that problem yesterday. All we got to do is get all the quote-unquote billionaires, whoever y'all think they are, get them married to women who like going to the plastic surgeon, get them to impregnate women who like going to the plastic surgeon, and then the man will pay for everything. And the more they go get more breasts and boobs and face work done, then the plastic surgeon collects the money. And that plastic surgeon uses that money to buy equipment and buy groceries and hire staff. And the money gets redistributed to the rest of society by getting it out of the pockets of the billionaires. So all you got to do is get the billionaires to marry women who like the plastic surgeon. And that's one way to quickly distribute their money to the rest of the world. So that's the tongue-in-cheek answer on the trickle-down economy. My serious answer to trickle-down economy is that it's not really a thing. That a whole bunch of money going to some people at the top is not necessarily going to make its way to the people at the bottom. Therefore, Cure fans, is if you're a person who considers yourself to be at the bottom or at the middle, etc., your job is to increase your value in the marketplace such that you're not worried about or concerned with or hoping for money trickling down from those who have more than you at the moment. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you want money trickling down to you, and you don't want money trickling down for another reason, because you don't want to be at the end of the money distributions. So, for example, I've written a bunch of books. So you see a bunch of my books on the shelf behind me. You can go to the link in my profile on TikTok or the pinned comment you see on any one of these apps to go to a page that will have all the books linked. Is that even though I've written a bunch of books, I never send people to Amazon to buy my books, even though they're on Amazon. I don't send people to Amazon to buy my books. And two main reasons. One is because when somebody buys my book from Amazon, we don't get that person's information. Meaning I don't know your name. I don't have your address. You didn't go through our payment processors. We don't have your email address, so we can't send you follow-up emails. We can't do anything with you because all your information went to Amazon to make the purchase. So we don't have any of your info. We can't market to you after that. Second reason why, and that matters because when you run a business, the most important thing you own is access to your customers. You don't have access to your customers and their direct contact information, then you don't really have a business. The main thing that all of these apps that y'all watching me on right now, main thing that TikTok owns is a list. A list is all of us and all of our personal information, such as our email address and phone number, that we had to give them in order to sign up for the app. That's their most valuable asset is the list. That's called a list. So when somebody buys my book from Amazon, it doesn't go on my list. You go on Amazon's list. I don't want you to go on Amazon's list. I want you to go on my list. That's why we send you to our links to buy the books directly from us. And we give you a better deal if you get it from us. That's why we always send people to my links to get the book. I don't just say, go look me up on Amazon, ever. Second reason why I don't send people to Amazon to buy my book is because if you go buy my book on Amazon right now, let's say you paid $20 for a book, Amazon takes a cut. And I don't get what's left of the cut until like 30 to 60 days from now. So if you buy my book on Amazon today, I will get a check from Amazon at the end of August of the money that's left over from that purchase. So let's say you bought a book for 20 and I get 10. So first of all, I'm only getting half the money, which I don't like. And secondly, I got to wait a month and a half to get my money, which I also don't like. So that's the reason why you don't want to be part of a trickle down of anything. Because when you're part of a trickle down, the trickling is what's left after everybody else in every step of that trickle takes their cut. You don't want to be at the bottom of that cut because you're only getting what's remaining. You want to be at the top of the funnel. You get to take your piece off the top of everything, and then you let everybody else get what's left. You want to be at the top, not at the bottom. So that's the reason why I'm not a fan of trickle down either, because you don't want to be at the bottom of anything. So hopefully that answers your question there. Mr. Battle said his gambling could affect game outcomes. Could the NBA be fit? Yes, his gambling definitely could. Maybe it did at times. Who knows? Keith said, do I think the Senate will send the bill up? Well, the Senate already did. So now it's on the House. And I think they probably will. I think they'll probably pass the bill. Yo Kirk said, my grandson is in the G League. His head is hard. Yeah, the thing is, and it's a hard thing to get through to, especially in football and basketball, which is mostly young black males. All of them think they're going to be in the NBA or the NFL for 10 to 15 years. And they're going to make $100 million. Most players don't last that long. Most players, first of all, don't even make it. Most of them don't last that long, and most of them don't make that much money. Only a handful do. And then the average person sees it on TV, and it seems like so many people are doing it. So they think that anybody who is even close is going to get there. That's actually not the case. Those are a small percentage who actually get to that point. So he's in the G League. Thing about the G League, a lot of people don't know how much money gets made in the G League. It ain't a lot of money. Let's just say that. It's not a lot of money you make when you play in the G League. And not everybody who plays in the G League ever makes it to the NBA. And if you do, you might not be there for that long. Basketball careers are short, folks. Average basketball career is like 4.5 years. Average football career, 3.5 years. The whole career. I'm not talking about the league. The whole career. Most pro athletes are out of the game before they turn 30. So then people see Tom Brady or LeBron or Kobe Bryant and they think that's normal. That is not normal. Most players do not last nearly that long. They don't make nearly that much money. But every player thinks they're going to make that much. And then when they get some success, they're like, okay, well, now I'm on my way. And many of them don't find out until they got to find out the hard way. Renee said, absolutely agree. Going to the gig, but leaving when you leave. Right. Rambeezy said, Trump should be exactly where Diddy is, on trial and getting convicted. Well, he already did. He already got convicted. He got convicted. He just didn't go to jail. And he said, what terrible has he done? Well, it depends on who you ask. I'm not saying he's done terrible, but there are many people who will tell you he's done terrible. Go on X and just ask the question and see what answers you get. Renee said, what dating app do I go to for these billionaires? Girl needs some Botox. I think there are apps for that. There are dating apps for men who are of a certain financial status and the women who are interested in them. That's a real thing. Daniel, we appreciate you. All right, so we are going to wrap this up, folks. We're right at 9:30. I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. Let's see if we got an outcome in the Diddy trial. See if anything got announced in the Diddy trial. Nothing got announced yet, but there's a couple of Diddy trial accounts that I've been following. So at 8:50 a.m., 40 minutes ago, there's an account called Diddy Daily. They've been following this Diddy trial. This person said, we're almost certainly getting a verdict today. I already told y'all that. We're probably going to get a verdict today because the jury just wants to go to hell home. That's why we're going to get a verdict today. They can take as long as they want. But I don't think the jury wants to be still connected to this case after Thursday, because after Thursday, Friday's a holiday. They want this shit over with. So this will be over with today, at the latest tomorrow. I'm pretty sure on that one. So he says that's probably going to happen today. If he is found not guilty and sex trafficking, so the not guilty is count 1, sex trafficking is 2 and 4, he could walk out of court today, even if he's found guilty of transportation, because the judge can free him on bail while he awaits sentencing. Or he can get sentenced to time served, because he's been in jail for a year. Remember that. Diddy's been in jail for a year. So he could get time served. If, let's say his sentence is only a year, he already gave a year. So that counts. So he might walk out of jail. So that's all we know for now. We don't have anything else yet. Let me look up Inner City Press, because I've been following them as well. This guy has done a great job breaking down the case as well. He said, now he talks about everything, not just that. All right, so let's go over this real quick. So at 20 minutes ago, 9:12, jury deliberation day 3. They got verdicts on counts 2 through 5. So only waiting on one count, which is the RICO charge. That's what they're waiting for, is the RICO charge. I'm gonna answer y'all questions in a second. So the RICO is the only thing they're waiting on. And when they get the RICO, they're done. They're going to announce the verdict. That's happening today. All right, I'll bet money on that one. At 9:15, 18 minutes ago, Puff walked in the courtroom talking with his lead lawyer, also in there, a bunch of other people. His defense team. He got 5 lawyers. So Diddy has 5 lawyers, in case any of y'all didn't know. That's the reason why he has a chance to walk free, because he got 5 lawyers. And every lawyer costs money. At 9:30, 3 minutes ago, Diddy's talking to one of his lawyers, Nicole Westmoreland. 4 of the others huddled to the side. Combs stands up, asking marshals, and is allowed to speak to his family seated in the front row. So he spoke to his family. Now he's back into the holding cell. Oh, because they're not actually doing any arguments today. So they're just waiting on the jury to announce a verdict. So when the jury announces the verdict, everybody's on standby. So all Diddy's lawyers just sitting there waiting. The prosecution's just sitting there waiting. And Diddy got to sit in his holding cell, the jail cell, and they just got to sit and wait. And when the jury says we have a verdict, then everybody gets called into the courtroom, and then the jury announces the verdict. So that's the big moment that we're waiting on right now. So everybody's just sitting here waiting right now. That's the situation. All right, so anybody want to know what's happening, that's the situation. So Will said the Diddy trial was lawfare. Well, some said. Carlito said, what's your secret to speaking so confidently in public? Well, number one, practice. I've been doing this a long time. That's speaking in public, whether online or offline. Number 2 is pick a topic that you know something about. And it's not even necessary that every topic I discuss here, I'm an expert. I'm not an expert on the Department of Justice or healthcare, which was the topic today. But I am an expert at being able to parse and break down and explain things once I have a logical understanding of them. That's my secret sauce. So that's why I can talk about different subjects every day, but I can speak about them confidently because I'm not telling you like some insider information. I just do enough research that I can explain the subject matter, and then I just break down what I'm explaining to you so that you can understand it. And then I mix in my theories and opinions at the same time. And again, all of these things I've been doing for a long time. Number 3, pick something that you actually give a damn about, Carlitos. If you talk about something you're not interested in, then your mess is going to fall flat because you have no enthusiasm. There's no energy, and energy communicates. When you are interested in your own topic, people can feel that interest and it gets them interested. So if you're not interested, people won't be interested. So I pick subjects that I think are interesting to me. And then because they're interesting to me, they sound interesting to you. That's another thing. And what else? Another thing I would say about speaking confidently in public is present yourself in a way that you're confident in how you're presenting yourself. And I mean, literally presenting yourself, how you're dressed, how you look, how you're seated, what you look like, what you sound like. If you don't like how you look or you're self-conscious about yourself, then people can read the self-consciousness coming off of you, and it causes them to have less confidence in you. Even though you don't say it, they can tell. And when you believe in yourself and you're confident in yourself, people can tell that as well. So that communicates unconsciously to other people. So those are 4 things I would give you, Carlitos, to speaking confidently in public. And those are not secrets. And these are things I've been talking to people about for years. If you want to be a better public speaker, just do all those things. Get practice, number 1. There's no shortcut to practice. Number 2, pick a subject matter that you actually know something about and that you can explain. Number 3, pick a subject matter that you care about, because you can know about something but not care. Like I worked at McDonald's. I know about it, but I don't care. So I don't talk about McDonald's most of the time. And number 4, present yourself in a way that you like how you look and how you feel so that other people can tell that you like how you look and how you feel. You can tell when someone is kind of self-conscious about how they look, and you can tell when someone is not. And they give off completely different energies, even if they had the same thing on. So all that being said, everybody, we are wrapping this live up. I will be back here tomorrow. We got 74,000 likes here. Can we get to 75 before I wrap this up? I usually push for 100, but I wasn't looking today, so I kind of forgot a lot. But thank you to the moderators who are reminding me to get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. Can we get the 75,000 likes before we wrap this up here, folks? I will be live tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern is when I start the live stream. 8 a.m. Eastern. Every business day, 8 a.m. Eastern is when I start these lives. So those of you who don't know, 8 a.m. Eastern. This week, we got a holiday on Friday, so I'll verdict today and we get a verdict on Thursday, then I probably will go live on Friday and talk about Diddy. I might not go live Friday. I will tell you probably tomorrow if I'm going to do it or not. But I will be live tomorrow, guaranteed, 8 a.m. Eastern. As long as I'm alive, I'll be live 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, probably talking about Diddy. So that's the agenda for tomorrow, tentatively. And we did hit 75,000 likes. Thank you, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Everybody have a great Wednesday. Go to the link in my profile, workonyourgame.live. Get the links to my books. All these books you see behind me, you can get links to these. We give away a lot of our books for free. So you get these books free. Just cover the shipping. We will ship you a physical copy of the book. We dropped a bunch of shipments off actually today and yesterday. So go to that link in my profile and get my books. The third day is that book right there, that link right there, thirddaybook.com. And that's that. I will see you all tomorrow morning. We out of here. Work on your game.